Not just moderately looking, but conventionally good looking. What are some of the signs that you're given? Story 1. This is depressing to read. Looking in a mirror and at photos, I think I'm all right looking, but when I read how many of these things have never happened to me, I guess I'm very ugly. Story 2. You get female attention effortlessly. You find yourself wondering, what are all these guys doing that they can't get girls? Because it has always come naturally to you. It's usually not simply that you have better social skills. More likely, it's because you're good-looking, women let you get away with more, and previous success builds confidence. Status, money, and power will come more into play as you get older. But especially as a young man, good looks usually mean you won't struggle much with women and dating. Story 3. When you are in a place where people are less shy and more into showing their true intuition and intentions, like a party or club, you notice women look, stare, and come closer to you than other guys around you, even if you are in a group. Story 4. Physically attractive? I work with a guy who is all around 10,000 out of 10. Tall, long dark hair and a nice beard, broad shoulders, beautiful face and smile. The women there go absolutely nuts over him. Even the guys talk about how good-looking he is constantly, and to his face. I don't think too many women go out of their way to approach him, as he is very intimidating, very shy, very quiet, keeps to himself mostly. But if he's around, they sure tell him what they think. I told him a lady hit her head checking him out one day, and he's a literal safety hazard for the women. He said, "I don't get it. I'm just a regular guy. I shop at Walmart and eat Taco Bell." Yeah, I'd say he's modest, but I think he's just completely oblivious. This might be an extreme example. I'd say he's well beyond conventionally good-looking. But I imagine the attention he gets is a little overwhelming. Story 5. Women will get tongue-tied around you, and they get overly self-conscious about it. They genuinely smile at you when speaking to you. They point their bodies at you when talking to you. They breach the personal space bubble without thinking about it. In terms of pure photogenic appeal, I am not that attractive. But when you balance my somewhat average face with my height, 6 feet 7 inches, and my athletic build, I definitely get a lot more attention from women than most men do. Story 6. If you get chased by women, it's easy if you're successful, but when you're young and have nothing, if you get chased, then you know you're attractive. Generally, guys have to chase women, so when we experience the same treatment, then you know you're attractive. I actually used to think I was unattractive when I was a kid. I had a very poor perception of myself. Even when girls liked me, I would wonder why. I even had a psychopath who was obsessed with having exotic mixed-race babies with me, and it made no sense to me. When I was in my mid-20s, I got hit on a lot and started to understand I was generally attractive. Story 7. Women will actually go out of their way to talk to you. And if you're really attractive, they might even ask you out or just directly ask you to sleep with them. But the latter requires an extremely good-looking guy. Most good-looking guys still have to seal the deal, but it's 100 times easier when women are already inclined to like you because you're good-looking. Also, people will just tell you you're handsome, especially if it's not your family or girlfriend. If strangers tell you that you are good-looking, believe them. If you're just average or less, you're basically invisible to women. Story 8. See how women treat you. If they laugh at your jokes, touch you, take your side in conflicts, and think you are intelligent, you are an attractive man. If they are fair, you are average. If they accuse you of bad intentions, find your jokes unfunny, and think you are stupid, then you are ugly. Story 9. I knew because I could look back on years of hard work and character development that made me into a man that women generally want to be with. It didn't come naturally for me. Some are just born with it, but I had to chisel away a fair bit of body fat and awkward tendencies. Story 10. I think I am in some kind of middle ground between above-average attractiveness but not the level of good-looking that most people here refer to. Some women seem to find me attractive, and gay men seem to like me because I look clean and am on the shorter side, but I'm also completely invisible to some women. It is weird because I can feel very attractive and very unattractive within the same day. Perhaps that means I am reasonably attractive, but being somewhat short makes me overall very unattractive to certain women. Story 11. I'm here to say that most of the comments here are very culture dependent. In a Western culture, women can and do ask men out. In other cultures, it's a very rare occurrence. Someone who lives in a conservative country reading the comments will think they are unattractive even though they might be extremely attractive. Personally, I choose to trust my mom. She says I'm the most handsome boy there is. Story 12. I'm just now starting to accept I'm quite handsome. As an information technology nerd in male-dominated fields, there were no hints. I don't go to bars for women to offer me drinks, and the idea of that sounds insane to me. Maybe getting older had an impact. I was skinny and smaller in my 20s, even though I worked out a lot. Now I have dad strength, even though I don't do much all day, and my arms and chest have developed. I never cared about bars or nightlife. Never cared about wild parties. I stayed at work. 15 years later, I have a great job and physical build. My beard has its own character. Catching up with old friends, apparently. I'm a catch and a real man. After not going out, working for 4 years, and not having much of a social life, I went to visit my sister. Every single one of her friends messaged me and wanted me to come over and drink with them. When did that happen? I never gained weight like some folks do with age. I always kept it in check. I gained grown-up weight, but I don't have a big stomach or anything. I have shoulders now. I was a street rat growing up, so being able to run a mile was always important to me. Not really a bad guy. Never been a criminal or done criminal things aside from childish mistakes. I don't care if I'm 50 years old. I will always be able to run a mile or climb 10 flights of stairs. My grandpa is 80 and still moves around and takes care of himself. His house has stairs. Story 13. Other attractive people want to be with you. I'm not a rich guy and I've got hardly any formal education, so a bad job and all that. But my partner is financially well off, middle class, and absolutely physically beautiful, so I just think, okay, I must be at least a bit good looking because otherwise what is he, my partner, doing? Story 14. Normally, people tell you, I've been told I'm attractive in the middle of mosh pits. Just listen to people really and put more effort into dressing, even if it's just to make you feel better. I find that when I'm more confident because of the way I dress, I get called attractive because I'm giving off that energy. Story 15. I was given the rare triple take by a woman one time as she walked by while I was standing outside the women's bathroom waiting for my wife. That will probably remain in my head until the day I die. Story 16. Funny story. As a below-average-looking guy, I have literally never had a woman approach me as a potential date or partner. I had a friend years ago who was tall, Italian, and handsome. I was standing with him at a bar getting a drink, and within 10 minutes, 2 different and very attractive women had cold approached him and introduced themselves. I stood in amazement as he got their numbers and names. I asked him how often that happened to him. He thought about it and shrugged, saying probably twice a night if it was early, but more later. He asked me how often women approached me, and I said never. I could see he was confused as he couldn't relate to it. Story 17. I always thought I wasn't ugly but wasn't attractive until I was in my 30s, and a woman who I thought was out of my league approached me and asked me on a date. Story 18. Women are constantly hitting on you. As in, you cannot go anywhere without stunning women constantly dropping obvious hints. I am not attractive but have been around guys who are in the top 1%, the ones other guys want to be around and women want. The one I am thinking of, I lived with for 3 years and he was self-made, wealthy, intelligent, and looked like the end-of-level bad guy, which sounds intimidating. But then couple that look with someone that has excellent social and conversational skills, and you have a lady killer. Examples of what happened to this guy: an extremely attractive barmaid came up with his Corona and, as he was putting the lemon in, she said, "You look like an expert at putting big things into little holes." This was at 11 a.m. on a Sunday morning. My entire life, not once has a woman made that sort of sexually overt comment. Another one, all he did was like a woman's Instagram picture, a top-shelf 910 that most of us would never have a chance with, and within about 5 seconds, she sent him a private message that said, "It is a shame the screen is the only thing you are tapping." Not just women, on several occasions, guys he did not know would ask him what he was drinking and buy him beers just to be associated with him. It was quite sad. So if those sorts of things are not happening to you multiple times a day the moment you walk out the door, then you are not in the top 1% of males. If you get a woman hitting on you at least once a week, then I would say you are in the top 20%, and that goes up on a sliding scale the more often they hit on you and the more obvious they make it. There are men out there that will make any woman act like a man as far as sex is concerned. It is depressing for the rest of us, but just know that if the wrong dude crosses paths with the love of your life, that sweet, innocent lady that would never betray you, trust me, there is a level where she will drop her knickers between a couple of dirty old dumpsters in a side alley. That is how you know you are attractive, and trust me, dudes at the top live in an alien world compared to the rest of us. I can only imagine what the lives of a celebrity who is handsome and young are like. You would consider them the top 0.00001% of males, and it would not surprise me if they are constantly covered like a glazed donut with all the bodily fluids that beautiful women throw at them. My lifetime number, and I am nearly 50, of women who have hit on me would be less than 10, probably less than 5, and that is in my entire life, and guess what? None of them were women that I was interested in any way. That is how I know I am not handsome. Not all bad news though. If you go to the gym and exercise, maybe engage in some vitamin supplements and testosterone replacement therapy, and ensure your life is well put together, then getting into the top 20% is possible for almost all men. Story 19. In my 38 years of life so far, I went from a solid 8 out of 10 to 4, back to 8, back to 4 to 5, and back to 7 out of 10 due to weight issues and depression. The difference between being and not being attractive is massive. Women touch you, often inappropriately. Women act jealous of you and compete for your attention, even if you barely know them. Very young girls or very shy women experience a blue screen of death when talking to you, which is absolutely hilarious. Socially inept women often act mean or feisty with you to get your attention. Other men, especially insecure boyfriends, get all cocky with you. Women insist on feeding you. If you have impressive muscles, especially a six-pack for some reason, women want to see it as if it were a rare exotic animal. Women incorrectly assume that you are in charge. Women are far more submissive and adventurous in bed than if you were average and agree to or want the intimacy to be more intense, messy, and more like how it's portrayed in adult films. They are also more likely to want to forgo protection or insist a condom is unnecessary. This is a trap. Do not fall for it. You get to have one-night stands, friends with benefits, though weak on the actual friendship and more on the benefits, and women occasionally want to cheat on their partners with you. Women expect you to cheat, often to the point of a weird jealousy or cuckolding or humiliation confusion. Story 20. Hot attractive individuals constantly slide into your direct messages just from your photos. Male and female strangers tell your significant other you're attractive. Female workers lose their train of thought helping you. Women walking by make eye contact with you longer than normal. I once had Lisa Ray from the movie The Players Club checking me out. For me, however, it hasn't really helped much with dating. I'm a terrible communicator and have no confidence. I also think there's something about me that is negative energy, as women have practically never approached me with obvious intentions. Whenever they have, it's always in a subtle manner. Story 21. Oh, you'll know when you are. No question about that. I have the wildest stories about how I used to have romantic encounters when I was younger and in good shape. All of them sound like something out of an adult movie and too good to be true, so nobody would believe them now if I said it, especially since I've gained weight, become depressed, and am generally not that attractive anymore. I would basically walk up to a woman, work my charm, and they would be interested within 10 minutes. I even had encounters with the most beautiful women as well. Nowadays, even someone who is not very attractive would not look twice at me, but it's fair since I'm not very attractive myself right now. Story 22. Damn. The comments remind me how unattractive I am. By the way, is it possible that I am somewhat attractive but have an off-putting aura around me? Something like intimidating? Story 23. So the deal is people like something about you before you interact. This will color every interaction. People will misremember things to put you in a better light. They will give you the benefit of the doubt and will be more willing to do things for you. Basically, making friends becomes much easier, and dating becomes much easier if these people interest you. The only downside is that people have a default investment in being liked or desired by you as well, so they will suffer the usual disappointment or rejection more strongly than if you were someone in whom they placed no value. Story 24. Good-looking people are treated with more kindness and politeness. They are complimented more and listened to when they speak rather than talked over. They receive more smiles and longer eye contact. People are more inclined to touch them. Story 25. People will listen to you. If there's some sort of situation and you step up and start telling people what to do and where to go, and they listen, you're probably attractive. I don't really get why this is, but people definitely tend to accept someone as a leader more readily if they're good looking. I assume it's because the guy in charge in movies is always good looking,